Okay, Saxon 4 math class. This is lesson 35, naming mixed numbers and money. So let's start off with a little warm-up with a mental math. A number sense, 750 minus 200. Just think of your hundreds. You've got 7, take away 2 hundreds, you've got 5 hundreds left. Everything else stays the same, 550. Now 86 minus 50, let's just think of the tens. Think 8 minus 5, that would give you 3, your ones stay the same, so it's 36. Okay, this one has a 9, so we're going to pretend that it's a 10. A couple of different ways you could do this. You could go ahead and add it to the 43 to make 53, or you could go ahead and add it to the 110 to make that 120. Let's do the first way. Let's say 10 plus 43 would be 53. Now let's add that to 110. That would be 163. Now take away 1, 162. Measurement. The needle is pointing to what number on this scale? It's between the 60 and the 80, so it has to be 70. Measurement. It took Paul only 2 minutes to finish the quiz. How many seconds is that? Well, 1 minute has 60 seconds. Right, so 2 minutes would be 120 seconds. Kalia had $45. She bought a pair of slacks for $25. How much money does she have left? Okay, so that's subtraction, 45 minus 25. If we look at the ones, 5 minus 5, that gives us 0. Okay, and 4 minus 2 would leave us 2. So she has $20 left. Estimation. Each paperback at the used bookstore cost $1.93. About how much would 5 paperbacks cost? Okay, the key word here was about. That gives us permission to estimate. So let's round this up to the nearest whole dollar. $1.93 is between $1 and $2, but it is definitely closer to $2. So about how much would 5 paperbacks cost? 5 times 2 equals about $10. Okay, calculation. We have some operations to do in order. I'm going to ask you to do them mentally, okay? 4 times 5, got that. Minus 10, got that. Plus 2, plus 3. Let's see if you're right. 15. Problem solving, we get to choose an appropriate strategy. The pattern of the sequence below is 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, and so on. Use a multiplication table. We're going to use our heads to help you continue this sequence of square numbers up to 100. And we've talked about why they're squares in previous lessons. So 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. And 9 times 9 is 81. Yeah, 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, here we go with the mixed numbers, okay? And when you glance at this picture, it looks like we have some wholes, okay, and one that's going to be a fraction. So we're going to call these whole pies or whole pizzas. These are representative of whole numbers, okay? Whole numbers are numbers that are not fractions. And then we have a fraction. So we're going to say our wholes and then our fraction. And we get to say and in between. Okay, so how many wholes do we have? 2. Then we say and what's the fraction here? 1/4. So 2 and 1/4. Here's what it looks like written down. Now we're going to get into what it would look like in words. Okay, use words to write 3 and 1/2. Okay, 3 and 1/2. We get to say and right before the fraction, and I want to show you why. This is 3 and 1/2 written as a fraction. If we wrote that as a decimal, this is what it would look like. Okay, and the way to read the decimal is 3 and this is in the tenths position, T-E-N-T-H-S, okay, tenths. Now when I say 5/10, you can imagine in your head this fraction, 5/10. We know that that's equal to what? 1/2. So how cool is that? And the reason we have to put and right here when we're reading this fraction is because when we read the decimal form, when we see a decimal point, we have permission to say and. That's why I've been so diligent with you all about not saying and when we're reading whole numbers. Okay, a lot of adults make that mistake. So know that mathematically speaking, they had to, for example, if we looked at this number, a lot of adults might say 325, and that is wrong. What they just said was 300 and 25 hundredths. Okay, this is the tenths place for the th. See that? This is the hundredths place. All right, so now you know the why behind what we're doing. So we would write for words 3 and 1/2. Notice the spelling of half. So this one should be a piece of cake. Use words to write 4 and 2/3. You don't just say 4 2/3. You say 4 and 2/3. So this is what it would look like, 4 and 2/3. Okay, Anita is writing a check for her water bill. Show how she would write $15.25 using a dollar sign. And notice they're using the hyphen because 25 is between 21 and 99. Okay, so this is what it would look like, $15.25. I also told you it was okay to say and when we were dealing with money, and it's because we have the decimal point. Anita needs to pay her cable bill. Show how to write $30.76 using words. $30.76. Notice the hyphen here. That's because it's between 21 and 99. Just that part, okay? Show how to write the dollars line on this check. Okay, this can come in really handy once you know how to write a check. I had my daughters write their lunch checks, and so I just signed my name. That they had to learn how to do this first. And if we look, the amount says $37.80. Okay, so watch what they do. They spell it out, 37. I would even start with a capital T there, just because it's at the beginning of the line. 30-7. And let's see. And look at this and. They put and there's a typo here. What should this top number have been? It should have been 80, so ignore that please. But 80 out of 100, okay? That's a fraction for how many cents out of a dollar. So really, this is 80 hundredths, okay? And if we were to look at that just as a decimal, let's take a look at that. I told you this was the tenths place. This is the hundredths place. So we have, whoops, go back and fix that. Okay, we have place value on this side of the decimal point also. This is still ones. This is still tens. Okay, but then on the other side, we start with the first to the right of the decimal point is tenths, and the second one is hundredths. So if we actually read this, it is 37 and 80 100ths. Okay, so that's why on the check it would look like the fraction. So let's look at example 7. I guess this is Kasim has 1/4. Got that in your head? 1 dime. Okay, that's 35 and 1 nickel. Okay, 40. How much money? Write how much money she has using a cent sign. Then write the same amount using a dollar sign and decimal point. Okay, so 25 plus 10 plus 5 equals 40 cents. Then with the dollar sign, we have to say $0.40. The dollar sign goes at the beginning. If you ever write this with the cent sign at the front, it will be incorrect. Please remember that. And you are not allowed to put cents if you're using a decimal point, the cent sign. Which one of the following does not represent the value of a quarter? Is this the correct way to write 25 cents? Sure it is. How about this one, $0.25? Yes. How about this one? I just told you a minute ago that if you use the decimal point, you're not allowed to use the cent sign. So this is the one that is incorrect. This one is correct. What mixed numbers are illustrated by the shaded pictures? Let's look at A. What would that be? 2 and 1/2. If you were reading it out loud in class as the answer, you would say 2 and 1/2. Okay, how about B? 3 and 1/3. Now it says draw and shade circles to illustrate these mixed numbers. So here's the whole. You would draw one whole circle. Then you would draw another circle that only has 1/4. Okay? Now let's look at D. It says 2 and 3/4. So you're going to have two whole circles. And then in the next circle, you'll shade 3/4. So here's our 2 and 3/4. Use words to write each mixed number. This one is 12 and 3/4. Here it is. 2 and 7/10. 6 and 9/100. Write each amount with a cent sign instead of a dollar sign. That's a piece of cake. $0.17. You know what 17 cents looks like. Make sure that cent sign is to the right. And this one is 5 cents. This can be tricky sometimes. You have 0 tenths, okay, and 5 hundredths. That's really what a nickel is. It's 5/100 of a cent. Write each amount with a dollar sign instead of a cent sign. Okay, this one's a tricky one. $0.08. That's really 8/100ths of a dollar. So you have to put 0.08. If you put it 0.80, then you've got 80 cents, and that would be totally incorrect. Okay, 30 cents, 0.30. Don't forget your dollar sign at the beginning. Write the value of 2 quarters. Got that? That's 50. 2 dimes. Okay, 20 more. And 1 nickel with a dollar sign. Then use a cent sign to write this amount again. So I've got 2 quarters, 2 dimes, and 1 nickel. Here it is with the dollar sign, 0.75 with the dollar sign, and 75 cents. Use words to write $20 and 5 cents. $20.05. And remember, anytime it says use words, spelling counts. Okay, and show how to write the dollars line on a check for $12 and 25/100. Okay, 12 and 25/100. There you have it. Right, go back and check yourself for 34. Hit pause as you check 1 through 4. Hit pause as you check 5 through 11. Hit pause as you check 12 through 20. Hit pause as you check 21 through 28. And hit pause as you check 29 through 30, and then you will be finished.